Welcome back to Brick System Brothers. I've done a rebuild of our hidden side Paranormal Intercept Bus set into a yard switcher engine. So this is just kind of some kind of diesel yard switcher. Now it doesn't have our train base or wheels because those pieces weren't included in the hidden side set, and that was 70423 Paranormal Intercept Bus. You can kind of recognize the color scheme is pretty prevalent here. I've kept most of our light orange pieces and some of the light blue as well. I've worked all into this engine. So I had the idea to build this train because as I was building the bus, the actual set, I realized there's a lot of these nice curved elements, and I just wanted to work that into kind of a B model. This isn't official, but it is possible to build this entirely with the pieces only found in 70423 Paranormal Intercept Bus. So let's look at the engine a little bit closer. So the style of this switcher engine is kind of an early American, well, not early really, from the 50s, 60s, somewhere in there. I'm not really sure on the year exactly. I guess it is modeled somewhat after the Alco RS line, which had a much smaller roof, but this distinctive curve was pretty present, and then your narrower nose and tail, and also the offset cab being back like this. So a little bit of inspiration from Alco, but not necessarily on all the proportions. And again, this is built with only the pieces found in a specific Lego set, so I did have some limitations on terms of what I could actually use to build this, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I was able to use our window pieces, a few of our window pieces, to help take up some of the bulk of the nose, and so I didn't run out of these yellow, these light orange elements. Let's just open our cab up here. So there's a few pieces that are kind of fragile. Let's actually look at that and address that before I move on. I wanted to capture this distinctive slope on our roof, but to do that I had to find some pieces in the original model to be able to clip all of this together, and there's really only 2 or 3 clip elements, and so I had to do a little bit of mismatching, but the solution I think ends up being okay. I have each of these sides is about 45 degrees to the center beam, and then these curved elements I'm able to stick on here with this Technic, this pin. So that's not really a legal connection, but it captures the shape that I wanted. So I think it's okay for a B model, for this one anyways. And then to kind of help hold things in place, I used a few other little tiles and everything here. So it is a little bit of a hodgepodge, especially once I got to the top and I was running out of pieces to actually use for this model. But I was able to put on some horns, and again, including these arches is really what I wanted to end up with for the cab roof, because that kind of matches our distinctive style. Let's actually look at some Alco. So this is an Alco RS-1 back in the middle of the 1900s. These were seen all over the place, switching yard and just like train yards, freight cars and stuff like that. The RS-2 isn't a whole lot different, but then I think the RS-3 is maybe the one that comes the closest to my design. Again, that cab just being a lot smaller in terms of the roof, kind of pretty much parallel all the way up, not really hanging over at all. But back to the model, working with what I had in the Paranormal Intercept Bus, and I think making the most of it. I have built this up in Studio to be able to export this as instructions, and there are 276, 274, almost 300 pieces in the model, so just under half of the original Paranormal Intercept Bus. And what's left is, let's just look at that real quick. What's left is over here. Some really big plates and Technic elements are left. All 4 tires I didn't use. A bunch of the minifigs. I guess this girl would be included as the driver, so I'll put her in the cab in a minute. But windows and doors, a lot of windows and doors. 2 of these other arch elements that I didn't use because there's 4 in the set. Some other pieces would be these grays, brackets, a bunch of the stud nut on top, and then some other Technic pins. So the over half of the pieces that I didn't use really these big bulky ones. Some small amounts of the light orange color windows and plates, that kind of thing. I really went after the detail for building the model. So let's look at, well, not necessarily. Now the bottom, these plates aren't actually from the set. I'm just using these as a stand-in for our train base, and I use the 6x24 train base. But what I did do is mark out where the holes in the actual train base are. There's 3 holes on each side for that chassis, that truck, the train truck, to be mounted on the bottom. And so I marked out where those holes go, and I left that open inside. So if you have those train pieces and this this base plate, 6x24 plate, it'd be pretty easy to just pop that into place and put those wheels on. I extended the front and the back by 2 studs with some plates to help give it a little more scale and length. But a lot of official LEGO trains actually do that as well, so I think it's not going to hamper your wheels any. On this side, I was able to use the actual bars for our grill because that was included in the set on one side of the window. On the other side, however, we don't have any more grill bars. We do have this ladder piece, so I decided to use that to fill in. Some of our exhaust details, just kind of building up from the side and building that right into the side of the top of the nose here. So yeah, I'm really happy with this slight curvature. Again, these were kind of the pieces I knew I wanted to use in the model, and then just kind of figuring out how to add in the blue, and building this cab was definitely the most challenging part. It's still not everything I want it to be in terms of stability, but I think it works good enough. So if you want to put a minifigure in here, there's ample room for one. All that involves is taking off a couple of the pieces on the windshields because those are needed to support the cab roof. Once you get those off, it's pretty easy to put the minifigure down in position. Probably have to take off this back one to get her hair in. Like that. And I went ahead and put the speedometer dial in there just to have some controls. So close up the cab here. It's these 2x4s on the side, and that kind of lets it bump out like a train window, and then the front and back are more of these 1x4 window elements with the glass in. So able to use a total of 4 of those in the other model here. So our footprint, or our general shape, I think comes pretty close to what I was looking to achieve. I went ahead and added in the 23 sticker. I think that would kind of match what you would see on an old train in a switch yard. And yeah, just some other details for interest down along the bottom. That's where this cab hangs over, so I don't think it looks out of place. The cab is going to attach with the 2x4 plate here, and then that goes on to the 1x6s. There it goes again. So the biggest problem with this model is the cab, just because I didn't have the kind of pieces I wanted to work with when building this thing. So it's not super stable, but if you were to run this in a city, like if I put the train wheels on it and stuff and got it running, I think it would perform fine. If it started bumping into stuff or falling off the table, these pieces would probably fall off a lot more often than you would expect a regular Lego set. But again, this is not a regular Lego set, it's a alternate build. So I guess the only other thing would be when I added the front and the back here, I got 2 extra studs to play with, so I decided to add in these fences. That was actually one of the first details I built, just to help give it that sense of you know, like in a train yard and that kind of thing. I'd also like to put this on the site Rebrickable and maybe sell instructions for $1 or $2. So I guess I'll drop a comment when that happens as well. That's kind of why I built it in Studio, is to be able to export those instructions, because that's pretty nice to have that instruction builder. So yeah, that is my Alco RS-3 alternate model of the Paranormal Intercept Bus 70423 from the Hidden Side line. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I might actually do another alternate build for this set, so I'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.